Yes, so welcome guys. We are back to the channel, and that is Ajay Kumar Yadav, and we are present with a very new video. And the new video we are going to start about is motion under the gravity. So the topic name is motion under the gravity. How is the motion of the body under the gravity, that we are going to discuss in our today's class. So as we know very well, the motion under the gravity that we are going to discuss today is nothing but the equation of motion. So you know what is equation of motion. So sir, what is the equation of motion? As we know very well, the very first equation of motion is v is equals to u plus at, very first equation of motion. Second equation of motion is s is equals to ut plus half times of at square, second equation of motion. And the third equation of motion is v square minus u square is equals to 2 times of as. Next, and the fourth equation of motion is Sn. Sn is equals to u plus n by 2 to a by 2 2n minus 1. So this is the fourth equation of motion that we have studied in our previous class. Now we are going to discuss about the motion under the gravity, the equation of motion. What is that? That is free fall. You know what is free fall is actually all about. Free fall. What is free fall, and the definition of free fall that we are going to discuss in our today's class. So let us discuss about the free fall in our today's classes. Whenever you are taking a body, whenever any body which is released or fall under the, any body which is fall under the influence of gravity, it is falling under the influence of gravity or towards downward direction. So what do you mean by downward direction? Towards the gravity, we can say downward direction. So what do we make them to understand? Under the force of gravity. So whenever the body falls under the influence of gravity toward downward direction, it resembles what it will resembles? Free fall. It will resembles free fall. And the next point that you need to understand is nothing but the acceleration due to gravity. The acceleration with which the body falls. The acceleration with which the body falls. The body falls is called as acceleration due to gravity. Is called acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. So with this point we are very clear, and the very first thing that we need to understand with the present two equation is the very first condition. Whenever the body falls downward, so how the body will fall downwards? If the body falls downward, the V, how do we call it as a V? So V will be increases. We know very well, V will be increases, and followed by G is taken as positive. G is always taken as the positive. So we will write first equation of motion, V is equals to U plus AT. V is equals to U plus AT. So we can also write it as V is equals to 0 plus G into T. So the equation will stand there as V is equals to GT. Sir, why it is V equal to GT, where initial velocity stands to 0 and A can be represented as G. The second equation of motion we need to understand is nothing but S is equals to ut plus half times of at square. So we can write that equation as S is equals to 0 plus half times of g into t square. So we can also write it as S is equals to gt square by 2. So this is the second equation of motion under the influence of the gravity, where we know that initial velocity tends to 0. Correct? Next, third equation of motion will represent as, that is v square minus u square is equals to 2as. This is the third equation of motion. So we can write it here as v square minus 0. We know that initial velocity always tends to 0. So 2 times of g. A is represented as g, s is represented as height. So we'll write it as v square is equals to 2gh, or we can also write v is equals to root of 2gh. That is third equation of motion, where the final velocity can be calculated. Here same as this, u is equals tends to 0. Sir, what is the meaning of first equation? With this we can calculate final equation of motion, v equal to gt. With this we can calculate the height. Even we can also write it as h is equals to gt square by 2. H is also, both the equations are correct only. S is equals to gt square by 2, h is equals, s is equals to gt square by 2. We can also write v is equals to root of 2gh. Next condition we are going to discuss is nothing but body under the downward direction, or body falls in the upward direction. So how will you understand about the body falls in the upward direction? Since we know that v will be decreases, we can represent v will be decreases and followed by g will be also taken as negative. This point you need to understand. So how can we represent here? Very first equation of motion, v is equals to u plus at, which is also written as v is equals to minus gt. V is equals to minus g into t. This is the first equation of motion we need to understand there. Next we are going to talk about second equation of motion, s is equals to ut plus half times of at square. We can also represent it as s is equals to minus gt square divided by 2. This is the second equation of motion against the gravity. And the finally third equation of motion can also be represented as v square minus u square is equals to 2as, which is also called as the v is equals to root of minus 2gh, where inside the root it will be taken as positive. So this is the part of an indication for equation of motion. Since we know that, we'll recap all the points what we have studied in our today's class. Motion under the gravity is equation of motion. What is the free fall? Whenever body fall under the influence of gravity towards the downward direction, it resembles free fall, and the acceleration with which the body falls is called as acceleration due to gravity. Body which is falling in the downward direction, velocity increases, g will be positive. First equation of motion is gt. Second equation of motion is s equal to gt square by 2. Third equation of motion v equal to root of 2gh. Correspondingly, in the downward direction, body will be falling in the downward path, and each and every terms will resemble negative because it is upward direction. So v will be decreases, g will be negative because it is against the gravity. And how do you like this video? Please don't forget to subscribe and try to comment on these videos, so that we'll upgrade to the next level and make you to understand in a more easiest and the compliances way. Thank you for today's session. Thank you for having a patience.